Welcome to another edition of Conversations with CBS Sports, where we sit down with some of the greatest names in sports as well as some of the heaviest hitters in Hollywood. I'm your host, James Brown, and today we are here with Matt Damon. In terms of the Patriots, why do you think they're playing so doggone well? Their defense is not that good. Bob Kraft won't hold that against me. He's a good friend. But they are flat out awesome on the offensive end. What's happening? Why are they doing so well, in your mind?
Well, look, there are some teams out there that scare me, that really scare me. And,
i.e.?
Well, in the AFC, Baltimore, they're great. They're a great defense, and they get up to play the Patriots, and they take it. Suggs and those guys and Ray Lewis, they take it personally, and
no question.
I appreciate that about them. I love that. I love those guys. But as a Patriots fan, you get nervous about playing those guys. Obviously the Packers. But the Packers defense, the Saints scored on them. That was a close game. The Giants almost beat them. They're not. And if you look at our season where we went 18-0 and then got to the Super Bowl, a couple friends of mine are Packers fans, and they're saying, I just want to take a loss and get it over with, just so we get that monkey off our back and can kind of,
So how long have you known Tom then?
Oh, man, I met him in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you guys hit it off how?
I met him down in Miami. I was shooting Stuck on You, and the Farrelly brothers cast him and Lawyer Malloy, who was then with us. Yeah.
Malloy, okay.
And so they have a couple lines in the movie actually, and so that's where I met Tom. I was a fan of his before I met him, but I email him occasionally, and he's just a terrific guy.
So Matt, if he had a couple lines, be honest now. Any kind of foundation there for him to consider afterwards, or stick with football?
Well, he should stick with football until he's done with it, and then he can probably do whatever he wants. What I love about him, he's my favorite athlete, and the reason he's my favorite athlete is because of his work ethic. To me, anytime, I talked to Wayne Gretzky about this once, and Gretzky said to me that Larry Bird was his favorite athlete because of his work ethic. He said because of what he does with what he has. Right? He goes, he said, if you gave me Mario Lemieux's body, I'd be the greatest who ever played. And I was like, they call you the great one, man. You are. And he goes, no, but if I was in Lemieux's body, he goes, I'd be even better. He squeezed everything he could out of what God gave him, and that's how I feel about Tom, like his willingness to work as hard as he does. I went to dinner with him after we lost the Super Bowl to the Giants.
Love the we reference, by the way. Go ahead.
Look, in New England, we take it personally.
I understand, buddy.
Asante Samuels has got to catch that ball. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, you got to come in the studio and do it.
No, although I will say about that Super Bowl, there was something divine. There was something going on because David Tyree, as great as the catch the next year was, everybody says Roethlisberger to Santonio Holmes, and it was that is like perfectly executed, right? The Tyree catch was like nobody drew that up. You know what I mean? That was like it felt like an act of God. He had Rodney Harrison was basically trying to rape the man on his way down to the ground. It was like punching him, he's doing anything he could, and Tyree somehow held on to that thing. And so there was something at that moment. I was in Spain. It was about 5 in the morning.
And you were riveted,
tuned in. Yeah. The first year we won, I was in France. And this Scottish bar stayed open illegally, right, so that I could watch when we beat the Rams.
Little encouragement from you to make that happen?
And a little begging. And then they opened it. It wasn't supposed to be open, so they put black wrap on the windows so that the police couldn't see that the bar was open. And then all of these Scottish guys who knew nothing about American football, but they knew the bar was open.
Right.
They came and they were like, "Go Patriots!" They didn't care. They loved the Patriots because the Patriots were letting them drink till 6 in the morning, right? So that's how I saw the first one. And then when we beat the Eagles, I was in New York. And then, when we beat Carolina, I was in Germany. Stayed up all night watching that one, and then and went to work the next day, and then was in New York for the Eagles, and then I was in Spain for the last one. And so at any rate, so the original point of the story was a couple months after that loss, or I should say the Giants' victory, because it was a victory. I mean, they
It's being fair about it.
But I went to dinner with Tom and a group of guys, and a couple guys ordered bottles of red wine, and the waiter went around to pour the wine, and Tom wasn't having it, and it was May.
Wow.
And I was like, dude, you know, you're allowed a glass of wine. And he just went, no.
But when talking about the work ethic, that could be said of you as well. One of the things I've been impressed with, the range of movies that you've been in, the number of movies that you've been in. Clearly, your work ethic, you could be characterized as being driven as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think anybody in my line of work or your line of work, you have to be, you know, because the hours are crazy. You know, it's highly competitive, and you have to truly want it, because you can't. It doesn't just happen. You have to go get it, and you have to keep proving yourself. I mean, if you have, you know, a bad show, that's one thing. If you have a bad season where people are like, I just don't like tuning into that guy, that's it. There's thousands of people who are dying to take your job, and that's how it is with me. And look, eventually they get you, you know, particularly in you know, making movies. You know, the phone stops ringing. It's, you know, and so you have to keep it all in perspective. But it's never going to stop ringing for me because of lack of effort. You know.
No question about it. But before the phone was ringing, Matt, so what would you describe that kept you going early on? I was going to tease about the Tom Brady, but you said the one line there. You had the one line in Mystic Pizza. Right. It'd be nice to say, okay, you built a nice career from that, but you persevered until you got there break. So what kept you hanging in there?
I think it's a few things. I think one is you end up with a group of people, like you find a community of people who are trying to do the same thing, and who you think are talented. You know, Ben Affleck was my best friend, and I knew he was good. You know, we'd done plays together. I knew he was really good, and I'd look at the stuff that I would see on television or in movies, and I'd go, I feel like he could be up there, you know, so, and he's not, so, you know, and he's hanging in there. So, and it would kind of, and you'd swap stories and, you know, audition stories, or I got rejected this way, and you kind of get this gallows humor about it, like, yeah, here's what the guy said to me, and you know, Ben and I used to call it getting okay, thanks. You know, you'd go in and you'd play your heart out for, you know, you'd do a scene, and then you go, okay, thanks, and you were out the door, and I think, you know, you get used to that rejection in a healthy way, where you kind of become inoculated to it. You don't take it so personally, and as you see, you know, as you get more experience, you realize that it's really about being right for certain roles. And if you're right for a role, then you really have a shot at it. And if you get a shot, you have to make the most of it.
Your beloved Red Sox.
Yes.
Give me I'll just ask it open-ended. What happened? The prescription for success, can it be followed with Bobby Valentine there?
Well, I love Francona. I just love that guy.
No question.
And everybody in Boston did. I love Theo. I'm heartbroken that those guys are gone. But, you know, Bobby Valentine doesn't take anything from anybody, and I think that's good. And so I think Boston will really embrace him. And this protege of Theo's who's moving into the GM spot, you know, great. I mean, what we need is, we need a right fielder. We lost Papelbon, which is devastating, and we need another starter. And that's just for starters. I mean, that's basically what we.
So you've got New York in your blood as well too. So do you hate the Yankees as much as most folks from Boston do?
I love New York City. I'm raising my children here, and I hate the Yankees. And listen, I love Derek Jeter too.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I see him around. He's a good guy.
Right.
But
Gotta call it like it is.
I just can never root for that team. It's just in my blood. You can't do that if you're from Boston.
Let me head down the last 2 minutes with this, because you mentioned something about raising your kids, and also obviously the movie we bought, the zoo. I'm loving it. When you were single, and if this is correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You said you would someday like to be a dad. That it is a man's most important responsibility, though most feel frightened about their responsibility. So, how is it?
I guess that sounds like me. Maybe something I said in a previous life. It's better than I ever thought it could be, is the truth, and it is the best job. I was right about that. But it's better than I ever could have hoped. I mean, it just yeah. I feel, you know, I turned 40 a year ago, and I said to my family, I think I might actually be the luckiest man on the face of the earth. And I actually am saying it with a straight face. I really might be the luckiest guy on planet Earth. The family that I have, my children, my wife, and the career that I have is exactly what I want. And so, I just, in terms of life, I just want more of it. I just want everybody to stay healthy and to just keep rolling.